Hi, Steve here, and this is our mini lecture for Lesson 2 of Contemporary Ethics. And this week we're going to be talking about the first of 3 ethical theories that we're going to be discussing and applying throughout the course. Now, don't let the word theory throw you. You could use another word like perspective or view or approach. And it just means it's a way to say why we should be doing what we're doing, to give reasons for why we should do what we do. And this will become more clear as I go along, so I'm going to talk in general before I talk about the theory about giving reasons for why we do what we do. And I'm going to use the whiteboard here and show you what I'm talking about. So in one case, you could say, well, someone says you should clean up your room. And you say, well, why should I clean up my room? And they say, well, I told you to, right? Maybe it's your mom tells you to clean up your room. And this would give you a reason to clean up your room. It's a command from your mom, and she has authority over you. So you could say, well, that would be a reason. Someone may say, well, you should pay your taxes. They're saying that's what you should do. Pay your taxes. I say, well, why should I pay my taxes? And they say, well, it's in your self-interest to pay your taxes. Why is it in my self-interest? Well, if you don't pay your taxes, you could get audited, and then if you get audited, you could be fined and have to pay interest and get in trouble. So it's in your best interest to go ahead and pay your taxes. That gives you a reason for why you should pay your taxes. Okay. Now, so now we go to the whiteboard. You see, this is me summarizing what I just said. First, you have like an action, what you should do, and then say, well, in this case, this example, it's clean up your room. So then you can ask why. So, well, I said so. Right? So you got a command that gives you a reason to clean up your room. And if it's your mom, for example, she has authority over you. Now, how about the second example, paying your taxes? So, well, what should you do? And someone says, pay your taxes. You say, why? So, well, it's in your self-interest to do so. So both these are cases where you have reasons given for why you should do something. You can even think of this, well, maybe it could be a policy, even a general rule, like, well, the general rule is you should always clean up your room because your mom said so. Or the general rule is you should always pay your taxes because it's in your self-interest. Now, neither of these are ethical reasons, and neither of these is really a theory, although you could develop a theory that, you should always do what's commanded of you by people in authority, or a theory that you should always do what's in your self-interest. But again, those aren't necessarily ethical theories. And so for the next several weeks, we're going to be talking about 3 ethical theories. So the ethical theory we're going to look at this week, which we can apply in the same kind of ways we just showed right there, is called utilitarianism. Now it has a history, and before its most famous proponent, who is John Stuart Mill, who we have a reading from this week. And but the basic idea is that actions or policies or laws should promote the greatest happiness of the greatest number. There's various ways to put the same idea. Another way to put it is that we should promote the common good, or we should promote the general welfare. And so we can apply it to individual actions, like cleaning up your room. We can apply it to laws, like whether or not people should pay their taxes. We can apply it to other kind of policies or general rules. And what I've done now is, on the whiteboard, I've taken and just changed the reason for why you should do a particular thing. So in this case, what should you do? Clean up your room. Why? It will promote happiness. So you can think about that. Well, this is a particular action. Why should I do it? Well, it'll make my mom happy. It will, keep peace in the house. Maybe I'll be more productive in my room, doing my homework and something that's cleaned up. And of course, there's a cost to me in that I will be maybe don't have as much time to play on my Xbox or whatever. But again, it's a trade-off between pleasure and pain, as the utilitarians put it, the costs and benefits of a particular action. And you do the one that will promote happiness more than the other one. The same with the other example about paying your taxes. Why it will promote happiness? How will it promote happiness? Well, if you don't get in trouble, that will make you happier. You will have to pay some money, so there's the cost, or there's the pain to you. But you may also think about things that taxes go to, various needed goods and services, hopefully. They'll go to help other people and pay for roads and things like that. So that paying your taxes in an individual case, you say, well, promote the common good or promote the general happiness. But also you think, if this were a general rule, pay your taxes, always pay your taxes, then you can say, well, in general, people should pay their taxes. Everyone should pay their taxes because it will promote happiness. It will promote the common good. And same as if it were a law. So you can use the utilitarian view, as I said, to analyze and justify particular actions or laws and policies. So that, in brief, is the utilitarian theory of ethics. We do those actions, we enact those laws or policies that are supposed to result in the greatest happiness of the greatest number. They're supposed to promote the general welfare, promote the common good. And the way, at least that Mill thought about it, was in terms of the pleasure and pain that would be caused by a particular action or policy. You could also think of it as the costs and the benefits, or benefits and costs of a particular policy. Now I'm going to close with this lecture with one last thing on the whiteboard here. So on the board here at the top I have a version of the utilitarian principle. This is supposed to be the guiding rule that's supposed to guide our behavior and our laws and policies. And then below that I have three questions. So you can think of this like, let's say you're looking at a case and it involves killing. And so, well, would it, if I killed a person in this case, or if I had a rule about killing, would it promote the greatest happiness? So, well, having a rule against murder or a law against murder certainly seems like it would promote the greatest happiness. Although there may be certain cases in which killing is justified, like say in self-defense or when you're defending your country. The same goes for stealing. You may think, well, generally it's wrong to steal because it doesn't promote the greatest happiness, although there may be some cases in which stealing something might result in more happiness. And again, this is where it becomes debatable, and people applying the utilitarian principle could come up with different answers. But you may think of the story from Les Miserables, where Jean Valjean steals a loaf of bread to feed his family because he has no money and they're starving. And finally, in the case of lying, you may think, well, lying doesn't, in general, wouldn't promote the greatest happiness, but there may be certain cases where lying would be the best course of action because it would result in more happiness than not. And as we go through and talk about utilitarianism, we'll be looking at various cases and issues and applying it throughout the rest of the course. And your general education final paper will be applying the three theories that we look at, one of which is the utilitarian view. So hopefully with my lectures here, the video and the written lecture and the reading, which granted is difficult, and also links that you can find in the lecture, you can understand as you work through the assignments here how utilitarianism is supposed to work as an ethical theory.